On today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about, um, why food nutrient is not enough. Um, it's and how you can go about design nutrition boosting strategy. In particular, we're focusing on energy and vitality, which is not to address any specific disease, but really to help you boost your health from fundamental level. Where do you start? And how do you pick the right nutrition brand? Because there's so many brands out there. Sometimes everyone, if you listen to their marketing, they all like to claim their brand is the best and the only thing you need. So how do you know? How do you arm yourself with the right information so that you can make an informed choice? So that's what I'm here to help you discover today. We're talking about nutrition and the importance of nutrition as the basis for our vitality. And even though we're talking about supplements today, um, this hasn't changed. The best form of nutrition comes from whole, fresh, organic foods without chemicals and processed minimally, unaltered by human genetic intervention, and harvested just before cooking. So that is the best form of nutrient because it's not distilled, it's not purified, it's not like a single fact like extracted nutrient. It has all the cofactors, all the stuff that's supposed to work together when you eat um, those fruit and vegetables. But and if you have that, you don't need a supplement. But that's practically impossible unless we live in the wilderness, farm our own food, and do nothing else in life. We just become farmers, right? But if you want to do anything else, mm, it's difficult. But let's say you do escape this daily grind and start your own organic farm food. You grow all your own vegetables and all your food, and you do that, and you grow your own farm fresh gala apples because they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So gala apples is one of my favorite apples to eat. It's quite crisp. But did you know that you are growing a genetically altered apple that only has a fraction of the nutrient of the wild counterparts? So, so I love, I like gala apples as much as Nick's person, but what you don't know is the first gala apple tree was one of the many seedlings that was crossed between Golden Delicious and a Kid Orange Red, planted in New Zealand in the 1930s by orchardist J.H. Kidd. So it's a new variety. It hasn't been around all that long. So we're talking about 1930s, yeah. While Golden Delicious is another genetically altered apple developed in the 1914s by the Mullen family in West Virginia, United States. While the Kid Orange Red was a New Zealand apple from 1924. So these are all very recent, varieties of apple. You could say new types of apple. The Gala apple is a modern genetically modified variety and looks completely different to the wild original species in Kazakhstan. So the original variety is actually quite small, often quite sour and tart than what you're used to, but some of them tasted quite interesting, like hazelnut, aniseed, or wild berry. So what you see in front of you is the wild apple. What do you know? Can see the size difference? Like in the guy's hand, it's almost like an apricot size, as opposed to what we used to. If you compare the wild apple to our apple you get a supermarket, you heard that. So that's the first big difference. You heard that apples are rich in antioxidants and bioflavonoids like quercetin, procyanidins, but you'll be shocked that these modern this gala apple that you quit your job to grow in your farm has actually next to zero antioxidant activity when you compare to the wild or more ancient varieties of apple. So you're essentially eating a candy. right? It's not really for health, and it's candy with a bit of fun. The Gala apple has 4.1 micrograms of quercetin, while ancient apple variety like the Monty Surprise has a 20 microgram, which is 500 times more nutrients than your Gala, the modern variety. 500 times more nutrients in terms of antioxidant. Uh, there's one particular type called procyanidins. So Gala apple have 140 micrograms, while the ancient has 300 micrograms. So double amount of antioxidant, 500 times more bioflavonoids, and 200 times more antioxidant. And that's from the apple. So, if you still think you can get all the nutrient you need from a genetically, modified, so-called fresh with the air quotes, food selection, check out what else we've modified along the way to create sweeter, juicier, bigger fruit and vegetables with longer shelf life without considering what we're doing to the nutrients. So this is what I found that's quite interesting. Have a look at this. Peaches. Not 2014 versus 4000 BC. The selective breeding that we tend to do with fruit and vegetables, it's 27 times more water, because you know what water means, right? It's heavier. We buy things by the kilo, so you get more money for it. It's bred to have more water. It's bred to be sweeter. It's 4% sweeter than the traditional peach. What about corn? Right? Ancient corn on the left, on the right, that's what you think it's corn. Completely different. The modern corn is 350% sweeter and 1,000 times larger than the ancient corn. So is this even, it's a man-made food. In terms of the nutrient, there's more data, like genetic modified corn is even worse. For example, calcium, non-genetically modified corn is 6,130 parts per million of calcium, whereas genetically modified corn only has 14 compared to 6,130 in terms of calcium content. That's just calcium. There's magnesium differences, manganese, another micronutrient drops significantly. Carrots, and recognize the carrots on the left. It was like some, fruit you pull out of a weed. Looks different. The modern carrots developed by the Dutch, with the colors that resemble the national color of orange. So definitely not natural. Bananas, not natural. Check out the ancient bananas. It's got seeds. Weird, right? So a modern variety have no seeds. So our artificial breeding and genetic GMO, genetic modification movement, there's no incentive on nutrition. There is no focus. We're not paying the farmers based on how nutritious a new variety of fruit is. We pay them based on how sweet it is, how juicy it is, as in how much water it contains, and the focus and really shelf life and how easy it is to transport. So it's really focused on profit, and your energy and vitality suffers when if you're not aware and you're just eating all this food from the supermarket thinking you're eating natural. You're doing yourself a favor by eating natural unprocessed food. But unfortunately, even these unprocessed food is processed. It's altered. Now that you know that your so-called natural food from the supermarket is really an artificial creation and really lack its full nutritional potential, you got to also remember that we use artificial fertilizers, and this means that certain nutrient, the micronutrient, I'm not talking about antioxidant, I'm talking about tiny nutrient that we all need. We need a small amount of copper, we need a small amount of manganese. They depleted in the soil. So we grow on industrial farms. The soil is depleted of micronutrients like manganese and copper, and that's why it's making the nutrient problem even worse. Your body has been burdened by chemicals, and now factoring reality. The reality is, hey, we've also got time and resource constraint. How much time does it take for you to cook proper food every day, every single day, every single meal? That food, we are saying that food is still the best foundation for which you can build extraordinary energy. So you should, wherever you can, get the bulk of nutrient from food that reduce inflammation, that will power cellular energy, give you satiety. It's simple to access and cook and eat. Makes you feel satisfied. If you eat a piece of food and you feel like you need more, you've got all these cravings coming up, something's wrong. Good food that fills your body should make you feel satisfied and full. And it's high nutrient quality and efficient. And that's what we cover from module 4 is these are still the principle, and it's still the most important element, the foundation from which you can build your vitality energy. However, doing your best in making the right food selection and preparation is really not enough if you're looking more than just survival and not sick. If you want to be extraordinary. If we look at the this is the world's fastest car. So it's a Bugatti Chiron or Chiron, depending on who's pronouncing it. It takes a high octane fuel. I mean, you wouldn't put like leaded fuel, regular unleaded super lead into this thing. If you got this supercar, you put the regular fuel, you're not going to go from 0 to 400k in 32.6 seconds. The engine probably not going to run very well. So if you eat food that's depleted in nutrient and you live in toxic planet and you don't have time to cook and fresh food every day, your body will have a hard time to thrive because you're not giving like this supercar. Your car is like this supercar. You give it the wrong fuel, it's not going to thrive and go fast. Think of these layer level as levels of energy. So level 1, your basic foundational energy, the executive warrior principle based food. This is a good start. It's a solid foundation. You should start here, but it's not going to take you towards the superhuman energy because you can't escape the fact that a large amount of food we eat are visually altered, and we talk about the pollutionary and the busy lifestyle reality. So we can do well, level 1, but if we want more, we need to go towards level 2. So this is what I recommend for the basic supplement, and this I think the American Medical Association for I guess decades has been fighting and against multivitamins and minerals. They basically said there is no need. They reversed their stance about, I think it was about 8 years ago, and actually started saying having a good multivitamin and mineral is a prudent decision to make. So you need to start off with a basic multivitamin mineral combined with also essential fatty acids. So we're talking about omega-3s plus polyphenol supplements. And this forms a very solid nutritional foundation from which you can build even more energy, vitality, and physical resilience. Having a general formula for essential vitamins and minerals will make sure you don't develop any specific deficiency in any area. So you want that because you can take some time for vitamin deficiency symptoms to appear. So consider this case that was observed in Harvard Business School. So a 62-year-old man developed a difficulty walking, joint pain, shortness of breath, pins and needles. What they found after investigation is they realized there was vitamin B12 deficiency. Interesting, isn't it? Like B12 deficiency causes all those symptoms. So your body can't keep B12 in the body for a very long period of time. How long do you think it took for him to develop this system, these symptoms? Few hours, few days, few weeks? What do you guys think? How long do you think vitamin B12 deficiency uh, will take to create those symptoms?
I think right away.
Okay, right away.
I think so. I don't know though.
Yeah, it's I find it interesting. So in the studies, it's actually 2 months.
Oh,
Took 2 months. So
wow.
cause and effect is actually really long, right? So if we don't take stuff, if we have a deficiency, 2 months. Sorry, 2 months is a long time to see that, and then we'll be wondering what's wrong. It's very hard to link up because you stopped having enough B12, 2 months ago. And that's a challenge for us as human beings is when the lag between cause and effect is too long, it's very difficult for us to diagnose. National Health and Nutritional Examination Survey estimates that up to 20% of people may have borderline vitamin B12 deficiency. So that's actually 65 million people in the US alone. Yeah. So if you want extraordinary energy, cover yourself with a good quality multivitamin. Is a good insurance policy. It's a basic start. Once you have a good multi, another nutrient that I consider essential for extraordinary energy is the omegas, the omega-3. So we know that there's a whole host of benefits for having more omegas. I won't go into the details here. The reason I mentioned this as a primary supplement is because it's one of the best anti-inflammatory nutrients. So you'll learn that in module 2 that inflammation sucks your energy drive faster than speeding bullet. When you inflame, have you ever felt extremely tired because of cold or hay fever? And a larger part of why you feel so tired comes from the fact that your body is raising its inflammation levels to fight off the threat or the perceived threat. And so you want to do everything you can to reduce inflammation. And inflammation is such a key and cause for so many numerous human illnesses like cancer, arthritis, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, all kinds of illnesses cause of inflammation. So if you reduce that inflammation, that is a really good supplement to take. And omega-3 has demonstrated incredible anti-inflammatory properties that help particularly to balance out the omega-3 from our diet, which is many vegetable oils. Maybe majority of us has been indoctrinated that vegetable oil is healthier, but we just eat way too much. There's recent scientific research has shown when you take too much omega-6 versus omega-3, it will create systematic inflammation of your body. That means your entire body will be inflamed. The average American eats a ratio anywhere from 12:1 to 23:1, whereas the ideal recommendation for ratio of omega-6 versus 3 is more like less than 4:1, ideally 1:1, right? So we're nowhere near. Actually, Japan has a standard. Japan has a standard of 4:1 in their recommendation. America doesn't have that standard. So take omega-3 supplements and actively reduce your vegetable oil intake. Well, it's essential. It's one of the real keys to create greater energy because you don't want the inflammation. So that's why it's one of the core. The last items I want to talk about in terms of the second level, the basic foundational nutrient is the polyphenols. So polyphenols were first discovered in 1936 by Professor Albert von, I can't pronounce his surname, Skankorski. He's basically won the Nobel Prize for the for discovery of vitamin C, for his research into vitamin C. So he was actually trying to call it vitamin P as in P for polyphenols, because it was considered that important. But then they later realized, hang on, your body can make its polyphenols on its own, so it can't be considered a vitamin by definition. So that got degraded a little bit, but it is actually very fundamental, because if you look at what it does, when you take polyphenols, it protects you from all these kind of diseases. So CVD stands for cardiovascular diseases, so your heart attacks, disease, or arrhythmia. So when your heart palpitation, when you beat irregularly, it increases your cellular resilience in energy production, reduces inflammation, improves blood sugar control, endothelial health, which is the linings of your blood vessels, are healthier, and that's good because you don't want them to become damaged, and that increases your chances of stroke. Some common phenol food that you may have heard, common polyphenol-rich food, will include resveratrol from red wine, quercetin and proanthocyanins from grapes, and catechins from tea. These are some of the most well-known. And polyphenols are, they're like the Superman, Superwoman in nutrition, because they're ultimately involved in just about every human biological action you need for super energy. They change how your genes are translated so your body can function at its best. It's one of the most famous polyphenol, and one of the most famous polyphenol found is actually resveratrol in red wine. It's one of the most well researched and one of the first that got came to fame. We're going to go back to the food, the energy booster pyramid again, and because we've gone through, once you've built up a solid foundation of the food based on nutrients, you build up your regular level 2 nutrient boosters, you feel a whole lot better than when you started, provided there's no significant hidden illness like a thyroid dysfunction, or if you have gut issues, we call it gut dysbiosis, and or adrenal problem, which will affect your energy production. So your thyroid hormones, how's that working? Adrenals, how's that working? Your pituitary hormones, how's that working? So some people do have underlying issues, and the best, if you have this solid foundation, you still feel terrible, it's well worth engaging a professional functional medicine doctor, they're also called integrative medicine doctor, to help you diagnose whether there's more underlying issues that you didn't know. Now, even if you don't have those issues and you have a solid, even if you do have those issues, having these basics will give you a very solid foundation to do treatments with your doctor for those issues. So it's a good foundation to build on. So we're going to talk about cellular optimizers and adaptogens in our level 3. Helping your body cells function better at a fundamental level is a key to get more energy, because your body is made up of cells. So this is tackling your body as a system, not as individual organs. So it's not like targeting your heart or your brain, because everything's meant to together. You get your cells work well, everything works well. At the heart of every cell in your body, you've got actually thousands of these things called mitochondria, which are like little power plants that provides energy for your cells to do its job. And in heart cells, your mitochondria help it pump blood. In your brain cells, your mitochondria help it fire and form new connections. And immune cells, mitochondria help them swim around and eat up bad bacteria. So it's in everything. And so when you take mitochondria optimizing supplements, so you've got food and you're taking supplements as the next level, you're essentially upgrading the power plant in every single body function, like going from old diesel to a Tesla motor that take a vehicle to speed never thought possible. So you're upgrading the motor. So some of the best examples are exogenous ketones, CoQ10, PQQ, L-carnitine, cold exposure training, phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylcholine, and more. So there's, because of time constraint, I'm going to talk about just two of these today. We talk about a more advanced phase in. I'm planning to do a retreat later this year, so that's where we'll talk more of the advanced stuff at the end of the year. The first cellular optimizer I'm going to introduce to you is great because not only does it work awesome, it's actually free. It's just a little bit confronting to do. We're talking about cold exposure. So it's free, it's accessible, and it's powerful. There are more and more research that demonstrate the benefit of cold exposure. So you hear how football team goes through into a cryo chamber and get this, I think it was minus 20 something degrees Celsius air exposed before they jump on the field. This is why. It's gonna reduce your body fat. It's gonna improve your brain function, enhance sporting performance. That's why sports people do it. And a paper published in the Journal of Exercise Nutrition Biochemistry in 2017, Nana Chung, which is a researcher, found that cold exposure promoted the gene expression for mitochondrial biogenesis. So that's just a complicated way of saying that it turns on this particular gene called PGC1 gene and turns it on to ask your body to create more power plants in your cells to create more mitochondria. So, it changes the switch in the cell to create more mitochondria, not just in your muscle cells, but in your fat cells too. So you're in fact upgrading all the power plant in your cells in your body. You just turn on the gene to tell your body to do that. And that gene is, it's a mouthful. It's called proliferator activator receptor gamma coactivator 1 alpha. Let's just call it PGC1. It's much easier. But I just say, in case you're nerdy like me and you want to look up and study yourself, I've included the link to that study. So it is true. I'm not making it up just to laugh at you because I can see you in the ice bath. But don't worry, you don't have to go straight into the ice bath or cryo chamber to actually get benefit. So doing cold exposure training is as simple as doing this. Go to your shower, get your nice hot shower, your regular hot shower, and when you're ready, for the last 30 seconds, go full cold. Just cold shower for the last 30 seconds. It's only 30 seconds, not very long. Believe me, you will feel an awesome buzz, particularly in winter. So during winter, it really feels really good after doing that. And I've done that as well as sitting in a bath full of ice for 30 minutes. And I can tell you, cold exposure training is one of the most life-transforming level 3 energy boosters. You're less likely to get a cold as well. You feel great energy. And in the retreat I've been planning for the end of the year, I'm looking to help guide the participant in a step-by-step process to get confidence in cold exposure. But you can do this, the cold shower at home today, and it's not as hardcore as you think it might be. So another cellular optimizer that I want to mention today is the L-carnitine. So it's a protein that acts as an antioxidant that can shuttle fatty acids to be used by fuel by your mitochondria. So we talk about how fat is a high octane superior fuel for your body than carbohydrates. So, but for that fat to be used, you need like shuttles, right? Think of them like buses. They need to transport this fat into the power plant, which is of your cell, which is the mitochondria. So it's a protein that helps with that process, and that's why it's going to boost your mitochondrial function. So that, along with glycine that we introduced in week 1 to help with sleep, these two are considered the superstars of protein supplements, also known as amino acid supplements. So natural source of L-carnitine came, mainly from animal sources like meat, dairy, fish, and eggs. However, many of you, particularly if you have digestive issues, indigestion, if you ever had acid reflux, weight loss surgery, or if you're vegetarian, you're likely to have a deficiency. And the reason why I nominate this is because without sufficient amount of L-carnitine, your cell's power plant mitochondria can't generate energy efficiently. It will not only help with your energy level, it will help you actually burn more fat in everyday life. So if you want your six-pack, this is a good supplement to take. Encourage your body to burn fat as energy is a good thing because we said fat is high octane and it'll help you in a fundamental way. Other benefits of this is happens to improve your memory. So your brain function, your cognitive ability to focus, so great for professionals. It prevents muscle damage. It helps you regulate blood sugar, increases endurance, so sporting performance. And that really all comes from enhancement of your mitochondria. The last of the three energy boosting supplements, and these are the adaptogens. So adaptogens are key nutrients and herbs that enhance both energy production and rest. If you take adaptogens, you will feel amazing amount of energy, but unlike stimulants like caffeine, it doesn't stop you from actually sleeping. So in fact, it will help you sleep even better than when you need it to rest. It's quite an amazing supplement that help you play hard, but also rest hard or rest well. So taking an adaptogen continually will enhance your ability to handle stress and increase physical resilience. There are many different adaptogens you can take. Rhodiola cordyceps, which is an ancient, very Chinese mushroom fungi called cordyceps. Ashwagandha, bacopa, holy basil, and ginseng. These are some of the top adaptogens, and I'll mention two of them. One particular is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a herb that's been used in Indian Ayurvedic medicine as adaptogens for over 1,000 years. So it's ancient herbal medicine, and in that system is considered, it's called a tonic or rasayana, and that can improve endurance and stamina, promote longevity, improve immunity, enhance fertility. That's how it's being used. And in one particular study, healthy athletic adults taking ashwagandha 300 milligrams twice a day experience a doubling of their oxygen consumption after 12 weeks compared to placebo. So increased oxygen consumption is an indicator of good cardiorespiratory endurance. So their cardio capacity has increased and has doubled. The supplement subject also experienced significant improvement in the quality of life scores compared with the placebo group. The next adaptogen I want to introduce is called bacopa, also known as brahmi. So the bacopa is a native herb of South Asia. And again, it's a stable herb within the Ayurvedic medicine, so Indian traditional medicine. It's used to treat cognitive impairment and nervousness, so stress. So one study showed that bacopa, taking 125 milligrams twice daily, produced significant improvement in mental control, logical memory, and learning. And another study showed that bacopa can provide protective effect against multitasking. So multitasking is actually inherently stressful activity that causes a deterioration in cognitive performance. So it's actually scientifically proven that multitasking is harmful. So, but bacopa will protect you from the harm. So in this human study, bacopa extract improve both cognitive performance and mood in as little as 1 or 2 hours. So, but in this study, we talk about 125, but there's, you can take up to 750 milligrams every day. And for some people, it takes a long time for you to feel the effect. Some people said, some research that you can take up to 4 weeks. So be patient with Bacopa. Some it will take you a while. It can take you a while as well. So for some people, it can be hours. Now, this is the two that I will introduce. There are others, but again, suggest I will introduce you in the future in the channel as a better way to introduce. The key takeaway from this section is really about understanding how, how the lower booster, the level 1, 2 fundamental levels of energy boosters needs to be addressed before you build on top of it. So it's just giving you a layered approach. So to approach supplements, you can jump onto the goods. Most people jump, they don't take a multi, they don't take a fish oil, they don't get the food together. They jump straight to Bacopa and they wonder why it doesn't work, because they don't have the fundamentals. And then they switch to ashwagandha, then they switch to, exogenous ketones. They try to switch one to another, and then they build up all these things that's unnecessary and potentially harmful. So, and this is guilty in the general population as much as the biohacker community. I'm a member of several, biohacker, nootropic community, and they're the same thing. They're jumping straight from one fix to another. They're talking about paracetams, they're talking about modafinils. Then they start taking other stuff, no rep, and they start stacking them together. And really, they're risking their long-term health in the process, having to jump from one thing to another. It started with one drug, and now they're taking an entire stack of drugs to boost their performance. So don't repeat the mistake. Focus on the fundamentals and notice your energy increase like a snowball. You just become an avalanche of energy.